Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder, saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. Originally, I was planning on watching Supergirl this week, but there was a problem. You see, I was very much saddened by the state of Netflix's Avatar. So I was staring at the screen afterwards on Netflix when a recommendation was put up on the screen for me. If I like this, then I might like these other options, which wasn't exactly comforting for me, because Netflix's Avatar sucked epic donkey balls. But one of the suggestions on the screen was for the Amazing Digital Circus, which was something which was recommended to me for a long time for the past couple of years. So I had a choice. I could get up and pay extra money to watch something that was at best going to be mediocre, or watch something that had grabbed the internet by the balls and wouldn't let go of it even after the show had finished. And the choice was pretty clear to me.
No, sir, not get out of this chair.
Thus, I sat on the couch with my wife and decided to give the Amazing Digital Circus a try. Now, you might be thinking, love of storytelling, you openly declare that you hate live action remakes. Why would you not touch the Amazing Digital Circus until now, even after you fell into the trap with K-pop Demon Hunters? Why would you wait this long? Because it wasn't finished yet, or at least the first season wasn't finished until June of 2026. Sorry to all the online creators out there, but are you really expecting me to become emotionally invested into things that are not guaranteed to at least be Firefly, where the first season ends? Sorry, not sorry. I need at least that much before I jump on board after 3 years of waiting.
I'm just saying.
And what do I have to say about the Amazing Digital Circus? I enjoyed it a lot from start to finish. Is it perfect? No. Is it the best show that I've ever seen? No. Was it a fun ride? Oh, most definitely. Yes, absolutely. Except for the final episode, and we'll get to that. I was thoroughly entertained and enamored all the way through. I really liked it. And now you might be thinking, what about the online community being completely toxic, or the creator being supposedly problematic? And to answer that question, I have this specific answer for all of you.
Whoa! That's interesting, but I sure don't care.
Yeah, do you know how much separation between the art and the artist I need to break in order for it to influence my view on the art? As of now, I mean, come on. Bill Cosby, Amber Heard, Ezra Miller, Jared Leto. Those are the levels at this point where things need to go to literal physical court for objective evil for me to care enough for it to affect my opinion on art. Bad tweets on Twitter because I'm never going to call it X. Don't care. Sorry, not sorry. There's too many terrible things happening behind the scenes in Hollywood and all across the world with people who are making art for me to care all that much. Otherwise, I will not be able to enjoy any art from anywhere at all whatsoever. So if you are expecting me to tear Gooseworks a new one, I am not going to. The only criticisms I have for her is that she really let the internet get to her. Something that you can't do if you're going to post anything online. For the love of God, I have borderline no influence on anything or anyone, and I get death threats for virtually no reason for being the middle ground in all things. You need to just turn it off. Realize that the digital world isn't real. Just make your art and don't care about the fact that you have a crazy fan base. Everything has a crazy fan base nowadays. Just do what you want and move on. And if you need to, just make sure to emphasize that there should be no harassment out there online. There you go. You're done. It's all good.
Nope, never again.
But now for the show itself. The Amazing Digital Circus follows Pomni, formerly an accountant. She's an actual human being who finds herself stuck in the digital world with the other members of the circus, and Kane, an AI who controls everything. As the newest person in this world, she is the most sane, allowing us to see the broken characters and the absurd situations from what would be considered the straight man's perspective of the situation. Like everyone else, she is no longer in her regular body. Instead, she's in a jester form, and the beginning of the series mostly focuses on her desperately fighting against her own rapidly deteriorating mental health.
I'm a psycho.
Because, as established firmly in the first episode, there is no way out of the circus, so much so that everyone else has stopped trying. Every human is stuck there as Kane forces them to go on wacky, crazy adventures in order to keep them from focusing on the fact that they are prisoners who cannot leave this limited space and will inevitably lose the will to live in the form of abstracting, becoming gigantic black blobs with multiple eyes without any will or personality to call their own. And while Gooseworks has supposedly compared the setup to I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, a story about an AI running out of control and tormenting the surviving humans in the world, I instead instantly thought of something else from the moment that I saw the beginning of the show. Yes, Danganronpa. Loosely translating to shoot down arguments, Danganronpa follows a class of students as they are trapped in their school island, or in school again for some reason at the last game. The only way out is to commit a murder and get away with it through a class trial, falsely convicting someone else in their stead, leading to everyone else besides the murderer dying. While flawed in many different ways, it is a series of games with a unique, surreal style, wild characters branching off of overused generic tropes, and absolutely banger music. I do not care if you think that Danganronpa is anime trash. You are allowed to think that. But if you listen to any of these tracks and don't like them, I am calling you a liar.
You calling me a liar?
I ain't calling you a truther.
Along with Danganronpa, I instantly thought of Severance because of the fact that they're effectively stuck away from their true lives, and Gravity Falls. Mostly because the AI ringleader Kane has obvious inspirations from Bill Cipher. There is also the obvious comparison to, and spoilers from here on out, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Soma, where the entire point is that consciousness is copied and transferred, which is actually the twist at the end for all of the characters in this show. They are literally copies while the originals are going about their lives without knowing about their alternate selves in the digital world. And even if they did know, they might not really care.
Oh, I made myself sad.
And despite all of these comparisons, the first thing that I can say is that the Amazing Digital Circus is unique. What do I mean by this if it wears its inspirations on its sleeves? Well, it is pretty simple. Danganronpa is so anime that it hurts. Severance is so slow burn adult fiction that it hurts. Gravity Falls is so baby's first horror story that it hurts. Soma is so niche that it hurts, and I'm saying this as a person who loves all of these stories to death. Meanwhile, the Amazing Digital Circus combines all of it into one surprising package that isn't like anything else completely. Just because something is inspired by something else doesn't mean that it is not unique. I'm going to be honest with you here. Fiction at this point is just people using already utilized ideas in unique and creative ways.
You've seen this before?
11 times, as a matter of fact.
The single biggest standout for the Amazing Digital Circus is the fact that the animation is exemplary. If you watch any of my videos, you will know that I hate live action remakes with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. Because they're pointless, lazy, and derivative. Amazing Digital Circus needs to be animated. If it was not animated, this wouldn't work. Period. It cannot be live action or CGI. If it was, it would take away from the story, the characters, and the setting. The fact that this is animated allows for rapid, wild scenes and scenarios where the only limitations is the imagination involved. At the same time, there's the juxtaposition between the fact that they are real human personalities in this cartoon world where they know it is in fact a cartoon. This story would simply not work if it was in live action or even cheap Hollywood motion capture, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong.
There are also the shots involved with everything. The camera is allowed to move dynamically. Nothing is ever still. Changes are rapid and fluid, and they're often very unique. Your attention is instantly drawn to what needs to be looked at. There are even style changes to fit the current story arcs. This, along with the excruciating detail given to the facial expressions and the body languages, make even a single clip of the Amazing Digital Circus more interesting than anything else, even out of context. Because I have seen and even used memes in my own videos just because of how unique and interesting they are from this show. I have no criticisms for the animation or perspective changes. It was borderline perfect.
No notes?
No notes.
No notes!
No notes.
No notes!
No notes. It's perfect.
The second part I have to praise above all else are the characters. Generally, I have a 3-episode rule. I have to give anything at least so long before I can establish my first impressions on it. 100 pages for a book, a single issue or volume for a comic or manga, the first 20 minutes of a movie, or the first 3 episodes for any show. If I can't get that far, I really can't comment that I'm not liking it. So after the first 3 episodes, I have to say that I was left extremely intrigued by every single character by the end of my favorite episode, The Mystery of Mildenhall Manor. Speaking of which, I wonder if there are any other creators online right now doing a video just like this during this exact week that have a very similar opinion to me. Oh, for the love of God. Really? Now everyone's going to be thinking that I'm copying regular Eye Patch Wolf. But the reason that 3rd episode was the nail in the coffin for my investment was because of Kinger, a living chess piece. My single favorite character, who has absolutely lost his mind in the light but becomes Gandalf, the wise mentor character, the moment that he's surrounded by darkness. His connecting to Pomni, our perspective character, is really touching in that episode, grounding her back to sanity in a way that no one else did before. Then there's Ragatha, an overly kind and considerate caretaker, Gangle, a depressed artist, Zubul, the grumpy loner, and Jax, who is, well, a giant raging asshole. That's not to say that Jax isn't well written, and this is where I get into the controversy part as I understand it from an outside perspective who is not going to engage in any of it online. The Amazing Digital Circus features extensive LGBTQ+ themes. And despite what people think, because I thought the last season of South Park was a big pile of lazy garbage, I am not MAGA, and I am in fact a giant supporter of LGBTQ+ people being treated as equal to everyone else. Meaning, if they're awesome like Gangle and Zubul, I can chill with them all day long. But if they suck as a person, they just plain suck, and there's no getting around that. And Jax sucks because they, and I will be using they because I don't know what they identify as, is a giant raging asshole to everyone, and there's no getting around that. To the point that if this person was in my life, I would not care about them at all because they're mean to me constantly and without remorse, and I don't need that in my life. It doesn't matter what you went through in your past, do not take it out on me. I have plenty of members of the LGBTQ+ community in my life that aren't complete assholes to me. If you can't be at least cordial, I really don't want to talk to you.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
But like I said, this doesn't mean that Jax isn't a well-written character, because they are. They are, in fact, fantastic to watch. I can see why they obviously became the creator's favorite character. This is when the writers favor one character so much that they often forget about the other characters in comparison. And this does in fact happen with everyone else. With Ragatha, with Zubul, with Gangle, with Kinger, with Kane, and even with Pomni to a smaller extent. They are all somewhat sacrificed at the altar of Jax to a small extent, and this is the biggest shame of the finale, because I really liked all of these characters along with the setting and the premise. You see, there are 3 basic building blocks to any single story. In terms of importance, the characters, the setting, and the plot. Meaning the audience needs to care about the characters as people first and foremost. Then you need to care about where exactly they are. And then finally, the events that happen with these characters in this setting. If you place the overall importance in any other way, the investment falls apart. And this is where the Amazing Digital Circus thrives, because first and foremost, I loved these characters. Each and every one of them. Yes, even Jax. I loved watching them interact and learning about them, because I don't need these characters to be someone I'd want in my life personally for me to enjoy watching them. I want them to make sense and to be well written to the point that I care about them even though they kind of suck. My single favorite show ever is Better Call Saul, for the love of God, and I think Saul Goodman is deplorable as a human being by the end, but at the same time I love watching the show, so there you go, it's not that hard to understand.
You're horrible! You're an irredeemable monster! What took you so long, idiot?
And that leads into the third strength, the setting. By the end of the first episodes, the circus is established to be in a computer where Kane can make anything and everything happen. Wild shenanigans can occur. The only limitations are what Kane decides they are, and his limitations on speech and explicit actions leave a distinct limitation from a reality where people are demonstrated to taste, become intoxicated, and feel pain. While there are no actual limits technically, it is Kane, an AI with complete control over everything, which limits these basic human aspects, meaning cursing and going at it like rabbits. And that makes this situation painfully real from a censorship perspective.
Well, this sucks.
Because my wife and I were absolutely floored by this idea. Maybe we're weird, but we'd be constantly drinking and eating whatever we wanted without having to worry about calories or consequences. All the while constantly asking to go to various places on the earth that we have not seen before. But the simple idea of not being able to be intimate with each other was problematic, to say the least. No wonder Zubul was cranky the entire time. I would be too if I was horny and I couldn't do a damn thing about it. It's this subtle criticism of censorship while actively showing that Kane is a liar really grounds the setting into an actual prison rather than a paradise. Perfect setting writing.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
But that leads into the plot, which is, well, subpar to say the very least, and that's not because of the first 8 episodes. In fact, it's actually the first 8 episodes that I have no criticisms for. It's the finale which brings the problems into play. In all honesty, the first 8 episodes are borderline perfect. The problems occur because episode 9 tries to fit an entire season into a single episode. And for those of you who need a more visceral and literal image, Gooseworks tried to fit 8 pounds of into a 1 pound bag. Because overall, the first 8 episodes are really character studies, wild adventures, and abstract concepts rather than actual plot. They are meant to help you understand each character better along with the world. Picking up the overall plot mostly near the end, and then concluding with a world-changing consequence for everyone after episode 8. This is realistically where the first season should have ended. And then season 2 should have been the entirety of episode 9, along with more character development and reveals. The problem seems to be that the creator simply grew tired of the entire project and decided to end it before she simply couldn't do it anymore. Meaning, she was on the internet way too much. And this is my warning to all of you. Don't stay on the internet when your mental health is degrading.
Please don't kill me, please don't, I don't want to die, please don't kill me, please don't.
Every single complaint that I have heard at all about the finale is that it basically should have been expanded into a second season. The only exception is Jack's first-person perspective through everything during the flashbacks. I absolutely love that part, from the animation to the cinematography to the pacing to the first person perspective, which I really don't see from anything other than video games, where you see the world from Jax's warped perspective, where you understand what they are thinking even though it is not completely accurate. That was actually the part which was flushed out the most and had the most put into it, and it was perfect. The problem was the rest of the episode, where everyone realized that they were so mud, meaning that they were copies of the original and had no bodies to go back to outside the circus. And they were stuck in a digital broken world without any way to die, rather than becoming an incoherent monster which was a burden to everyone else.
Well, that sucks.
I have basically no criticisms for the first 2 episodes, but I have plenty of them for the finale. Everything should have been expanded upon, from Gangle and Zubal's relationship to Kinger's past and mindset. And especially to Ragatha. My god, talk about a character who was hinted at being extremely interesting and intricate, and perhaps only pretending to care about everyone and everything without actually caring deep in her heart, to the point that multiple people abstracted because in part they realized that even the compassion they were shown by Ragatha was false. And all of this was completely dropped during the final episode in favor of a single character. I like Jax, but that doesn't mean that all the others should be left by the wayside. There is definitely a lot that could have been explored through all of them, especially Ragatha.
Disappointed!
And look, creators can end their stories however they wish. As someone who has written books and different stories, I realize that changes happen simply from the writing process itself. Characters take a life of their own, plans change, your opinions shift, relationships aren't what you thought they would be, and this is simply from the writing perspective. I can't even begin to imagine trying to animate all of this while working with voice actors and trying to get active feedback from the audience who is the internet. It would all lead to me losing my mind. Plus, there are aspects that the Amazing Digital Circus just outright dropped, mostly about consciousness and existential dread from the first 2 episodes. And that's where Severance, a much quieter show about similar topics of memories and consciousness, come into comparison. While I'm still postponing the last 2 episodes out of raw resistance because I know that I have to wait forever for season 3, I still appreciate the show for having these discussions about consciousness at all, about memories, about nature versus nurture, about grief, about depression, about religious indoctrination, about corporal control, and about so much more. When I compare the Amazing Digital Circus to Severance, it's in the most flattering way possible.
Well, hang on, you've just... No, I like it. This is brilliant, but I like this.
Okay, an NPC gets to have an existential crisis after learning what it was. Why don't the others get this when they learn that they're simply copies? Why is there just a weak-ass montage of all this? Because the finale should have been a full-blown season. I'm not saying to have countless discussions over all of it, and I know that the Amazing Digital Circus does this type of storytelling where they just outright tell you what the themes are, but still, you can have a discussion without any answers. Everything should have just been expanded upon just a little bit more. Every other character besides Jack should have been given more time, especially Ragatha, who was hinted to not actually be as considerate as she was pretending to be several times over. And all the others should have been given more as well. Episode 9 is flawed, but let me ask you this. Is it better than no conclusion at all, like with Firefly? What do you think, Dr. Evil?
How about no?
I agree. This is better. Episode 9, or the finale, or the movie, or whatever you want to call it, is the Amazing Digital Circus spraining its ankle and limping across the finish line the best it could. Is it perfect? No. But here's the truth. Despite every single flaw and misstep, well,
I liked it.
it was good. Not perfect, not great, not the best. It was good. It was adequate. It was enough for me to accept and not be bitter. All aspects should have been expanded upon, but if Gooseworks didn't want to, well, at least we have an ending. And I'm not going to say the cliche of think before you type, because no one who would listen to me would even consider the idea of draining the life of Gooseworks from left, right, and center. You know, that and this being an absurd project to begin with. I can't imagine getting into this sort of mess, so I have to admire Gooseworks for all of her hard work.
I've made a huge mistake.
The Amazing Digital Circus is an excellent character study with an excellent setting and a mediocre plot, along with a disappointing, rushed ending that should have been expanded upon into a full season. There are conflicting themes at the end, with Jax abstracting but everyone being hopeful, but then no one actually getting fixed from being abstracted. It was very weird, but like I said, I just needed more. In fact, I think the series is best left to headcanon for its finale at this point, because they rushed the acceptance of being copies a little bit too fast. I would have been freaking out probably for a solid 2 episodes at the very least, along with everyone actually being friends in real life. Sorry, that makes no sense. It goes against the themes of being stuck with people in a situation where you have no control.
Ha! Gay!
But with the ultimate conversation of Jax being that they were a well-written character, I completely understood them. I understood what they were trying to say. Hurt people hurt people. You can't help people who don't want to be helped, but having characters ignore Jax randomly at the end did not fit anyone's character development at that point, especially Pomni, who constantly reached out to Jax at all times, along with everyone else. It did not fit her character to ignore Jax, just like everyone else. It just was not great stuff. If you're going to do that, show at least someone come out of being abstracted and be healed. The conflict came from the fact that it seemed borderline hopeless, but hopeful at the same time, without any real answers or ideas for the future. It just kind of fell flat a little bit at the end. I liked it, but it really should have just been expanded upon. At least we do have an ending that wasn't complete and utter garbage, even if it was a bit messy and a bit conflicting at times. I have in fact seen worse, but I still probably have a bit of headcanon for the series, which expands upon each character and gives Jax some sort of redemption, I'm just saying. And the fact that I need to have some headcanon means that there are flaws that probably should have been worked through, I'm just saying. I still really like it and I would highly recommend it, but there are flaws and there's no getting around that. Oh, and I just remembered, I didn't particularly like Kane's redemption at the very end there. He just did a heel face turn like that and everyone accepted him. And that was very rushed and should have been expanded upon a little bit more, just like everything else. I'm just saying, there should have been a lot more.
Oh, I forgot how bad it looks.
I've seen worse.
But what do you think? Do you like the Amazing Digital Circus? Do you hate it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Did the ending ruin it for you? Do you completely disagree with me and thought it was the best ending ever and there were no flaws at all? Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, if you disagree with everything I have to say, that is perfectly fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
My work here is done.
Thank you all so much for watching.
You're still here?
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. You bye. Boom.
Do not despair.